Hey, folks, welcome back to the Taylor Tax Show, the podcast that helps highly paid, highly taxed, high profile, and high net worth or ultra high net worth taxpayers save a bunch on taxes legally. I'm Terrence Taylor, the co-founder of Taylor Tax. This is my partner, Big Al Darnell Jr. Say what's up, Big Al?
What's going on, everybody?
All right. And today's episode, we're going to look at the tax savings that you can get from making political donations. Yeah, this topic is one that we thought about and we even wrestled with it a bit to figure out, like, is this something that actually makes sense for the folks that we make this podcast for? And ultimately we decided, yep, this is right up their alley. Why? Because if you are able to make donations in the right way to political causes, so whether those are charitable political causes or politics for politicians and their campaigns, there actually are a bunch of things. There are a few things that you can do to save a bunch on your taxes. And Big Al, for this one, we thought we'll set it up as an interview with you asking me some questions and me answering those questions. So what's your first question for me?
Hey, well, thanks for setting that up, by the way. My first question is this, are political donations a tax write-off?
Well, Big Al, it's a great question because in most cases, depending on how you structure it, it's not, won't be able to get a tax deduction on it, right? But if you structure it the right way, you might be able to get capital gain savings as well as to paying gift tax on the donation, right? And that's if you, for example, make a donation to a 501c4 entity. Now, most of us are familiar with 501c3s, nonprofits that tend to work towards charitable causes. So 501c4s, a different entity that if you make donations to them, you can't get tax deductions, but depending on how you structure it, you can save a bunch on your taxes. Now, if you make a donation to a 501c3, of course you can get a tax deduction on that.
Got it. And would you suggest that clients of ours make donations or donations of some other type when doing this with the particular strategy that you're talking about?
All right, so I missed the word, what kind of donations?
Yeah, would you suggest that they make cash donations?
Or okay.
A different type?
Great question. So, in fact, back in 2022, Big Al, now we're going way back, there was a fascinating article that came out of the Wall Street Journal, and it talks about how billionaires were able to save on taxes through making political donations. And it looked at two billionaires in particular. It looked at the owner of Patagonia, who donated 98% of his shares in the business that was worth several $billions to a 501c4, and therefore didn't get any tax deduction, but was able to save on capital gains taxes, which you can imagine would have been massive, right? As well as avoid paying gift tax. And the article also talked about the owner of a business that donated 100% of the shares of his business, a gentleman named Mr. Saeed, who was able to save $450 million on taxes because the shares that he donated to a 501c4 called Marble Foundation, I believe, were worth $1.6 billion. The estimate was that he would have had to pay federal capital gains taxes of $450 million on that. But by donating the shares to Marble received the shares tax-free, and Marble received the full 1.6 million value. And then Marble turned around and sold those shares to a company called Eaton Corp. And then Eaton didn't have to pay Marble didn't have to pay any taxes on the sale to Eaton, since Marble is a 501.
So it sounded like a two-step process, would you say?
Yeah, exactly. You illustrate the two steps for us?
Well, yeah. So step number one, from what it sounded like from the explanation, because I was able to read that article as well from the Wall Street Journal. Step number one, to make the donation to the 501c4, as you mentioned. Now, he's not able to get that write-off, but then what that does, though, is it allows him to make the full donation so he doesn't have to pay capital gains taxes or gift taxes. And now that 501c4 received the full donations and not the donations minus capital gains, they were able to get the full $1.6 billion valuation after they sold it to the other company. Because whenever nonprofits receive non-cash donations, they have to liquidate those donations within a certain time frame because they're not in the business of making money from investments, all right, from those particular investments. So no, that sounds like a super smart play, and it also allows you to donate to political, how should I say it? Political beliefs, not so much political parties directly or political candidates directly, but the political beliefs that you have, which could be directly or indirectly associated with specific parties or specific political candidates. So, but once again, the billionaires out here, from a financial standpoint, playing chess when a lot of people are playing checkers.
I ain't even playing checkers, Big Al. It's just really sad. So I was talking, I just wanted to check the name of the company. So the name of the company that Saeed strategy for was Trip Lights, and he donated to Marble Freedom Trust. Big Al, here's the interesting thing. As we did our research for this podcast, we also learned that one of the reasons why 501c4s have come used as a vehicle for these types of donations is because campaign finance rules does tend to have limitations on how much you can donate to a particular candidate, right? And even the candidates, perhaps their PAC, right? So I think if it's a donation to candidate directly, you can only donate up to $2,900. But if you donate to the candidate super PAC, which sometimes are structured as 501c4s, then the donation can be unlimited. And while you don't get a tax deduction for that donation, well, as we've already shown with these two business examples, there are ways that people structure these types of donations where they get the benefit of at least avoiding the gift tax, if nothing else. And if it's a business transaction, then you could also avoid capital gains tax. So, folks, can we say we continue to be amazed and fascinated at how taxes touch everything in our lives as American taxpayers, right? And we continue to be amazed at the types of strategies, the tactics, and tools that are available to people who are willing to structure themselves correctly so they can save a bunch legally on taxes.
One more thing.
Yeah, go for it, Big Al.
Is it also helps from an anonymity standpoint. When you donate to certain political parties, campaigns, and so forth, if you donate over a certain threshold, then your name would need to be listed. So you could either do that or donate through an LLC, or with these billionaire strategies, a lot of this stuff is indirectly, so that they can kind of have a hands-off approach of, no, I'm care about the environment, or I care about health, and so on and so forth. So they're donating non-cash items, stocks, other capital assets to these politically charged activities or funds that indirectly support, but then also they avoid having their name associated with one party or the other. So
that's a good point.
And anonymity. Just wanted to mention that.
That's a good point. Big Al, let's not belabor the point. We brought this up because while these are strategies that billionaires use, the tax code does say these are legal strategies that any taxpayer can use. So those of you who have causes that are near and dear to your hearts, and you have appreciated assets that you could benefit from saving on capital gains taxes, you want to use a strategy that allows you to legally avoid gift tax, these strategies are available. You could donate it to a 501c4. And the last thing, Big Al, that we can mention here is that oftentimes these 501c4s have 501c3s that are affiliated with some of the causes that folks ultimately may want to donate to. Strategy does allow for 504 affiliated 501(c)(3)s to support each other through donations. So something to think about. If you're interested in learning more about this, get in touch. Terrence at TaylorTax.ai. Terrence with 2 R's and all E's, and Big Al at TaylorTax.ai. I said .com. So Terrence at TaylorTax.ai and Big Al at TaylorTax.ai. And Tax Strategies GPT. Feel free to ask it questions about this strategy and how to use it. That's our GPT that we put on OpenAI's GPT store. All right, folks. See you soon.
Cheers.